welcome everyone to Tarot Journeys with Guy. How's everybody doing out there? So now here we are, 5 days into the election, the US presidential election, and we're right into that pocket. Now, for everybody that's in the States right now, I'm sure you've heard this over and over again, but it is time to vote. Vote, vote, vote. We need to vote. Everywhere in the Western world, everywhere where there is still democracy, we still need to vote. And that is to everybody out there. But the US presidential election is definitely one of these events that the whole world is sort of watching and waiting to see what happens, okay? Now, it's been interesting. So last few weeks since we've sat and done a reading, there's been so much that has unfolded. And it's kind of hard to go over and recap everything. Now, one of the big things that's taking place right now is the deep state, the globalist deep state all across the planet are panicking. And they're going into hyperdrive. Now, within the States, they are going to attempt to steal the election any way that they can. This is obvious. This is something that we all know. So through the numbers of voting, that's what they're hoping for, right? So we have to wait and see. I really have a strong feeling that President Trump is going to get through. But the thing that I've been reflecting upon in the last couple weeks is, and I guess I've been preparing for it, is what will come next. What is their plan afterwards? One of the things that is definitely on the agenda is civil unrest, civil war state, and a global crisis, i.e. World War III or something of that nature. That will give these totalitarians that are embedded the opportunity to trigger their martial law state, okay? Now, this is what is being prevented, and all over the world we're seeing how the pushback is happening, okay? But the work isn't over. Now, the true enemy is this globalist deep state cabal, this group of elitists. They basically have exposed themselves, okay? And so it's up to us as the people to take the reins, to take the situation and to take it into the next step, and to not be unwitting pawns in the deep state's game, in this globalist game, right, where we're all sort of being used. And what has actually been happening and igniting the people and getting the people going, like especially like with the Trump, Team Trump and MAGA and all, and what's going on in the States, and with this election, it really shows how it's the activation of the people and the courage of the people that are shifting things. And that is producing the awakening and is producing the leveling effect, okay? And it's sort of how, this is everywhere in the world. Like, the people are definitely standing up, but the thing is we've always had this problem of shying away from aggressors, from bullies, from situations that don't seem very tenable, okay? And that's where the other side of this comes in. They use that to their advantage. Now, for me, it's really about the totalitarians versus the people, okay? And these little geopolitical games and things like this, it's not the real war that's taking place, okay? Even though these situations are very real and are very dangerous, the people are going to have to make a stand, okay? In the Western world, people have to stand for freedom of expression, freedom of self-determination, the freedom to be your individual self and all the rights that come with that, okay? Private property is another one, right? The right to bear arms in the States. This is another very important, the right to assemble, All of those are very, very important things, and they are slowly vanishing. And so this is where the awakening comes in the Patriots and the people waking other people up, sounding the alarm bells, not letting these guys get away with the lies that they're pushing. Okay, and the internet has been one of these examples of that, right? So the next stage of all of this after Trump gets in is going to be very, I think, tumultuous. I think and this is what I was picking up in many readings leading up to this, that they know that they're not going to be able to prevent Trump from getting into power. So they have a plan, like a stay behind, okay? And this whole thing that's going on with Trump, we have to see, because I don't trust all of these people. I don't trust these people that, are on our side all of a sudden. There's a lot of people I don't trust that I pay attention to, that I listen to. So we have to see. This is a war, right? And it is a fifth generational war, meaning psychological operations, information war is a big part of it. Utilizing all elements as a weapon, using people as a weapon. It will be very telling when Trump gets in, when and if, what will happen. Will there be full disclosure? Like, oh yeah, and that was the other thing too, is the Rogan interview, which was pretty interesting. Actually, it was kind of cool to watch that, right? I watched the whole thing, and that was part of one of the things that he brought up, was that there's going to be a cleansing, okay? And that he is going to disclose the JFK files, and that, yeah, and that's like a really good thing. This idea of like really getting these guys out of these positions, right? But we'll see. This is the whole point. Like, will this happen? Will all the P. Diddy, Ghislaine Maxwell, Jeffrey Epstein blackmail ring, will that come out? Okay. Will the fact that there's an element in the deep state that has been developing bioweapons, which is against the International Bioweapons Treaty, right, i.e. vaccines, are they going to come out with how, like in the United States and all of the Western nations, how the military and the government is being used against us? We've been under attack, like a massive attack. There's another thing too, weather manipulation, geoengineering, and the climate scam and the climate lie. What about that? Is that going to come out? Or how about the trans agenda? How the trans agenda just all of a sudden became a thing with everybody and everything, and how that a large part of it is social engineering and social conditioning. Is that going to come out? And Trump keeps mentioning the enemy within. And who is the enemy within? A lot of us know who the enemy within is. Okay? So that's the next step. And it will be very telling what happens when Trump gets in. And that's what I really do feel, is that Trump is going to get into office. So let's see here. So we're right on the cusp. So today, I'm shooting this on Halloween, October 31st, and I'm going to put this out on November 1st, All Saints Day. Okay? This is the mid-fall point. This is the real marker of the beginning of winter in a lot of ways, especially where I am. But it's this time period of, we're entering into the death period of the year, where the veil is lifting. The veil has lifted, okay? And so our spiritual selves become more prominent in a lot of ways, but it's also when lower astral energies start to become present. And it's good that I'm doing this reading. It's like part of the light. We are the light. Those that are spiritually activated, we are that beacon of light, okay? And that's just how it is. This is our time. This is where I think this idea of the Christ consciousness sort of becoming present within people. We are to be that beacon in this period of darkness, right? Now, on a galactic scale, on a larger scale, civilization is moving into the depths of the galactic winter, okay? And so over a long period of time, we are in this kind of galactic winter solstice. We're waiting for that winter solstice point, okay? And that winter solstice point, the galactic winter solstice point, is the true marker of moving into that next zodiac age, the age of Aquarius. Now, in my reckoning, we've already kind of made steps towards that, okay? Like a big part of that astrological reckoning, like on a large scale, was in 2020 on December 21st, the grand conjunction of Saturn and Jupiter in first degree Aquarius, okay? Astrological degree of Aquarius, okay? And that is one of these markers, okay? This is one of these things that we've been waiting for. This grand conjunction is part of one of the secrets of the ages. It's one of the secrets of the cycles. And regardless of where the world moves, whether it moves towards more totalitarianism or more freedom, it doesn't really matter. The spiritual impulse is the same. The spiritual need is the same. And all of us are going to be needed regardless, right to the end. Part of the operation of these death cultists has been to throw us off of our natural rhythm, off of the natural cycle that civilization is bound by, right? We're tied to, in a way. I mean, we have free will. We have the ability to choose. Very important. Okay, let's see. What do we need to hear? We got 5 days to the election. What's going to happen? Let's take a look here. What is Spirit going to show us? What's Spirit going to tell us? The Hierophant represents the hierarchy of things, okay, in a lot of ways, right? And in some ways, like the Hierophant represents the Pope, but in the sense in the ancient world, like in the realm of the mystery schools of the initiates, the Hierophant was the initiate's link to source, to Spirit, okay? And it's kind of the same thing as like the Pope, the Catholic Pope, is supposedly the vicar of Christ, he's the representative of Christ, of Jesus. And so, right, and it's this kind of idea of the hierarchy of things, and where God is on the top and everything kind of fits below, right? And it kind of comes back to that ancient sort of idea of the just ruler, of the just king, right? And so we do need our rulers, but the thing is, people don't trust anymore. That was part of the plan, was to break the core trust, the social contract in society. When you no longer have trust within your rulers and your experts and these people that you basically give authority, I guess, when you no longer trust them, society starts to break down. And that's what's happened, right? And there's no running. There's nowhere to run to. It's a global thing right now. And it has to kind of come to this head point, right? So, but that's a big thing, right? Where do we find trust? Well, we need to restore that trust. That's, I think, a big topic that people need to talk about, right? Is how, yeah, we need this infrastructure. We need the rule of law. It needs to be just. It can't be corrupted. We can't have leaders in positions that are corrupted in any way, shape, or form. It just is not going to work, right? And so that's like a big part of the next sort of phase, is like helping restore a sense of trust. I know some of you out there in the States right now, and you don't trust any of this, and you think that it's just a waste of time to get involved, but you need to vote. You need to vote, and you need to vote for Trump. If Trump doesn't get in, the United States will fall, for sure. For sure. That's simple. And it's through this, it's going to be kind of like a landslide, right? This is what we want, and I think this is what we're going to see, but we can't rest on our laurels. We can't just assume that it's going to be better, right? And so the Hierophant, it's like the Six of Swords, right? Moving into new waters, moving into like, moving out of the fear-based reality. Wow. So don't get discouraged, man. They are going to maybe even like hold the results for this election. They're going to hold it back as far as they can. They're going to try to steal it. They're going to try in every way, shape, or form. We're already starting to see it, but alerting the people, talking about it, speaking out is what's going to work, right? Most communists are liars and are bullies. And that's the best way to deal with them. You're a liar and you're a bully, and I say no. And it stops right here. And it's funny, weak-minded people will always go towards that which is stronger than them. And people that are fearful will always go towards that, right? It's up to us to be not in a fear-based way, but in a love-based way when that kind of scenario happens, right? And so, like, use the examples that are present in our world of people that have stood up in non-violent ways and have stood up for peace and people's well-being and have called out these bullies and these liars and these corrupted individuals and stopped them in their tracks, right? There's lots of examples of it. So that, that's really where we're heading, right? We're heading into this sort of very crucial time period, but it's also very dangerous. Okay, let's see what else we got coming up here. Yeah, I don't even want to ask. I don't even want to ask what's going to happen with the election, whether Trump's going to win or not. I don't want to predict anything. I want to continue with the intent that he is going to get in. And if I was in the States right now, you better believe I'd be wearing a Make America Great hat and flying a flag and voting, and you better believe it. And the same thing, I mean, it's so funny. I mean, I'm not into the demagoguery, and the, putting people up on pedestals and things like this. And I don't think Trump is a savior. I think Trump is a gift. I mean, there's no other person like that. This is part of a power play. This is part of a massive psychological operation, and we're still in it, right? And it's a tit for tat thing. And they tried to use him as a massive psyop, and it backfired on them. And they used that same thing to get the people motivated. Okay, and so, okay, let's see. Let's just ask, what do we need to hear? What's going to happen next few days up to the election? So I basically drew out the same spread, right? So past, present, future, and this tells me a story, this guy here. And so like the Five of Pentacles here with the Page of Swords, the Page of Swords represents like a spy in some ways, or somebody that's collecting information, okay? But it's like this, like where thoughts kind of go quickly as well, right? The movement of thought back and forth, of communication back and forth, right? And pages, like all of the pages can be like a message in some ways, okay? And so like this is kind of like the internet, but young people, swaying young people, trying to prevent young people from seeing the truth. And also this thing of like gaslighting people into thinking that Trump, the team Trump, isn't as strong as it seems, right? But it's failing. And then behind the scenes, underneath of it is this attempt to steal, this attempt to actually steal the election. And so this card here, the Seven of Swords, and they can't, they're kind of like, honestly, they're freaking out a little bit about it because they've been caught. And they're the deep state is freaking out that when Trump gets in, what's going to happen to them, because a lot of them are traitorous. And it's a really bad situation. We're dealing with like the preventing a full coup taking place in the Western world, but in the United States specifically. Okay. I think that like what we see in UK, what we see in Canada, Australia, New Zealand, all over Europe, is that coup has been successful in a lot of ways. They've taken over. Like, this country is taken over. It's going to be a socialist Sharia law state quicker than you can imagine if somebody like Trump doesn't get into office. Because that's what's going to happen in the UK. I think what's going to happen in the UK if things keep progressing is the UK is going to collapse. They're going to kick out the king. You know, that's the big thing. What's going to happen to Canada if they do that here? And what's going to happen to Canada if the United States is deep state controlled? Well, we're going to be the 51st state of the United States of America, deep state controlled, banana republic styles. The socialist United States of America is what it's going to be. So, time to get active. Man, they could hold it off, the election results, for like almost 2 months. It appears, actually. It's funny, I wasn't going to do any predictions, right? But this is the potential. This is kind of what we see in Canada. They do this with our elections here. They're stealing elections here for sure. It's so rigged. It's unbelievable. So going back to that, how do we restore trust? How do we restore trust in that system? I guess that's what we have to find out, right? That's what we're looking at next, right? Yeah. I know that things have gotten progressively darker to get us into a state of the light, right? And that's I think that's what we're dealing with this. The intention is to get Trump into office and to get these death cultists out of the way. Because what I saw months and months before, because always the economy is always this thing. For decades, they've been saying every week the economy is going to fall apart. So why hasn't it? Right? But that's, I think, what they've got planned is they're going to trigger some kind of collapse, or some kind of massive economic downturn. I mean, all of the global players are in position, right? BRICS just had its last global meeting in Moscow. You're seeing the formations of the New World Order, right? Okay, one more. So Ace of Pentacles is a really good sign. This is a clear sort of indicator, like, yes. So yes, President Trump is going to get in. We are going to fight these guys. We are going to stop them. Yes, yes, yes. Fight, fight, fight. Trump, Trump, Trump. Vote, vote, vote. Right? It's going to happen. That's so, and it's the same thing in the rest of the Western nations. The right things are going to start to happen, right? Like, It's already starting to slowly, right? But the thing is, what they're hoping is that people rest on their laurels, that like the normie element will just easily just go back to sleep. And in a lot of ways, we will, right? I shouldn't say I'm a normie, because I am not a normie at all. I like to think I'm part of the whole, this like everybody else, but it's not. But we are. We all are. We're all the same. We're all humans. We're all born in that way, right? And in that spiritual way. So yeah, that Ace of Pentacles, that's kind of a good indicator that positive things are going to come, right? And like even like with this disappointment card here, the Five of Cups, right? Where the guy is like super disappointed, looking at what happened previous, like 2 presidential elections, right? And what's actually taken place. Thing is not to get discouraged, right? Things seem like it's discouraging right now, but it's not. That it's actually, this is that kind of shift. That's like that low point before things actually like make like a fundamental shift, okay? And that's super important. And that the fool represents the spiritual traveler. This is us, right? And sort of taking the leap, making those moves, right? Not holding back. Like the time is now. We can't avoid what is going on in the world. We need to face it, okay? And that, even though that may have been the issue going back many, many generations, this is what's shifting. This is what is starting to shift. Like the people need to demand to take part in the politic, right? So funny, like I've been watching this go on for so long. I mean, I've been around operating as a spiritual agent for as long as Alex Jones. I remember like the first day that Alex Jones launched InfoWars. And I've been watching this go on like him, you know, he's got this thing where he goes on and on. If you listen to him or watch him, and where he kind of recaps his story in a way and talks about how he's got the game plan, I guess, right? But it's like watching these guys, and what I've noticed is that the more they get caught, the more things start to sort of make sense in the world. And partly the reason why certain things don't make sense is because it's an operation. It's called social engineering. It's called cognitive war, cognitive operations, psychological operations to shift the way people think, to shift their worldview, right? This is what's going on. Totally what's been going on, right? So yeah, like whatever normal is, but like stable, right? This is the thing that we're sort of moving towards, right? The deep state knows that that's what happens, okay? So what happens in a revolution, and what we're dealing with is this attempted revolution from the top up of an elitist revolution to throw off the actual revolution that's taking place within the people, right? And so this top-down thing, this idea of this kind of socialistic state being inspired by them, right? And the more that they get, right? And that's part of the reason, that's part of the motive, right? And they've been hiding it. They've been trying to kind of steer people towards their aims, right? And that's what I've been seeing, is that the more they get caught, the more things make sense. And the reason why a lot of these things don't make sense, some of these policies, some of these the responses and news conferences and all of this stuff, is because it's an op, right? That they're lying. They're clearly lying, and they've been lying. And I mean, they're caught red-handed. Kamala and the Democrats have been caught. The Uniparty has been caught, right? These people have been exposed, right? And so, yeah, that's such a huge thing right now. Yeah, not to get too discouraged and to sort of stay on track. Yeah, we're going to get through this, right? Health and well-being is what's on the next turn. Well-being, health, and we got to follow our path. So our calling is now. We are being called. So, whatever it is that you're sitting on or whatever it is, the time is now to act, right? And this has been my message, right, to me. And that's what is coming out in the card readings. And so in that way, we are going to get through all of this. We are going to get through the dark times that we're in right now. And we're going to see that light, right? We are that light. And we have to let that light shine within us. And so let it shine. Whatever it is that you're feeling called to do, from that balanced, whole place, from that good place within us, then do it. Go for it. The time is now. Okay? So thank you for watching, everyone. That's it for today. So make sure you hit the like button and subscribe, and take care. See you on the next one. Bye-bye.